should begin by sharing with all of you that today is my birthday. No need to hold back your enthusiasm. Thank you. In addition to it being my birthday, today is also, it's the first day of spring, but it's also the spring equinox. And I timed it this way. And just to clarify, I don't mean to imply that I timed my mom's labor and my delivery to coincide with the spring equinox. I was merely referring to the timing of today's sermon. You know, I've been fielding so many emails today from congregants in Halifax sending birthday greetings. And in my replies, I've stated, Happy New Year. It didn't take long before receiving a couple bemused replies back. Happy New Year. Reading between the lines, I think they were implying, God help us if you should complete 5 years of rabbinical school and not know when the Jewish New Year is. But to me, today seems far more like the initial stages of a new cycle in our Jewish lives than the culmination of it. Today feels like the beginning of the redemptive process more than redemption itself. Let me substantiate my assertion with 4 indications. First, okay, so it's just 36 hours ago, but today signifies, perhaps more than any other day, the emergence of spring. March 20th, the spring equinox. For all of you Hilchot Zman Tefillah enthusiasts out there, it is on this day when night and day are as equal as they get. Equinox, Latin for equal night. True balance. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nightfall, the quintessential rabbinic day. That's today. Look outside, or as my classmate Yosef mentioned last week, go outside. What you'll notice is that the snow is melting. The temperature is gradually warming. We're packing up our winter clothes. I actually packed up all my scarves last week, only to then take them out this week, but I hope to pack them up again next week. The growing pains of spring, perhaps. And all because we are part of this natural process of regrowth and renewal that is occurring before our very eyes. Second, the Torah and Talmud seem to concur. When the Torah addresses the laws of Pesach, it refers to the festival as occurring in the first month of the year, B'chodesh HaRishon, B'chamesh Esrei LaChodesh, in the first month on the 15th day of that month. Then there's the noted disagreement between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua in the Bavli about Yom Harat Olam, the day the world was born. In which month did that day occur? I studied this tractate with my classmate Jason, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. According to Rabbi Yehoshua, the world was created in the month of Nisan. Our sacred writings are teaching us that regarding our ritual lives, Nisan, the month in which we celebrate Pesach, is the first month of the year. After all, the order of our 3 main festivals is? Pesach. Got it. Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. One of my teachers, Rabbi Jan Erbach, points to another pattern, often overlooked, that will serve as my 3rd point, illustrating why this is our true New Year. Emerging from the festivals that we celebrate, we can see that our calendar balances the tension between the particular, being us, the Jews, and the universal, which is humankind, and the transition from the former to the latter. We start off with Pesach, which is very particular. It is one story about the birth of one people, one nation. And yet, it has become a model universally. I entertain requests from a handful of churches in Halifax each year interested in performing a Passover Passover Seder. Even the President of the United States has said that people of other faiths have grasped and contemplated the morals of the Exodus story. To be sure, Passover has grasped universal appeal, but it is our national history. We and only us Jews are the ones obligated to enter the past on Pesach by saying, Bechol dor vador, in every generation, Chayav Adam, we are obligated, Lirok et atzmo, Ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim, obligated to see ourselves as having come out of Egypt. And then we journey. By the time we get to Sukkot, we're in a universal mode. It is a festival of harvest for all the nations. If crops are fruitful, all people will benefit. The journey of our collective story is just beginning this month with a very particular, specific story. Only in months from now will we attain that universal model. Finally, we need look no further than this week's Parsha. This is week 2 of Sacrificial Systems 101. It's the second Parsha of the book of Leviticus. We find ourselves in the preliminary stages of establishing and institutionalizing formal communication with God. That's really what last week's Parsha and this week's Parsha are all about. The children of Israel need a more constant, consistent, a more substantive relationship with the divine. The fast and fleeting miracles leading to their liberation from ancient Egypt did not provide the Israelites with the divine relationship that they were ultimately seeking. Look back, actually, a couple of parshiot to Ki Tisa in order to fully appreciate the fragility of the relationship. At the foot of Mount Sinai, for days, no word from Moshe, from God, silence. An overwhelming, unbearable sense of abandonment, fear, isolation consumed the Israelites. Can you blame them? Their relationship with God was based on miracles and emissaries. It was a relationship still being established. Perhaps that's why we dwell in outer luxury on Pesach. We recline on pillows, we eat like the aristocrat. And yet, what we're actually eating is lechem ani, food of slaves, matzah. By the time we reach Sukkot, of course we dwell in poor exteriors, but we eat rich, wonderful foods. We no longer need the external wealth, those external vices to which we cleave, for we have inner richness, true redemption, perhaps, a relationship with the divine. Pesach is our national New Year, when we were born as a people. As Avraham Yeshua Heschel would say, what Pesach establishes is a path to redemption, the creation of a model for redemption. But it is only by Sukkot that we actually reach it. I leave you with a final thought. Bechol dor vador chayav adam. As individuals, is the obligation to see yourself as enslaved, or is the obligation to see yourself as redeemed? Heschel suggests that this is relative. It depends upon where each of us is today. If you've had a rough year, if you've struggled professionally or academically, experienced personal loss or tragedy, if your job prospects for next year are still in flux, if you feel trapped or if you're suffering, it is incumbent upon you to see yourself as redeemed. Allow yourself this Pesach to experience the sweetness that is true salvation. But if you've had a pretty good year, feel confident about your relationships, your financial situation, things are looking up professionally, and you're surrounded by blessing, then perhaps it's worth seeing yourself as enslaved. Remind yourself what limitations and struggle can feel like. Heschel admired the teachings of Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. I actually learned some of his writings with my teacher, Professor David Fishman. The Kotzker Rebbe suggested that the phrasing of the mitzvah, of the commandment, should be amended. He said it should simply read, Bechol dor vador, chayav adam, lirot et atzmo. In every generation, we are obligated to see ourselves. Pause, look honestly, deeply, and see who you are. Chag Hashem Sameach.
Hadish Rabbanan.